Well, I'm back again with some more Overwatch news for you today. There's an actual developer blog where they talk about the current state of Overwatch, the future, near-term future of Overwatch 2, and also they talk about the bronze bug, balance changes, and other stuff. So let me go ahead and show you this. I will link this in the description of this video below the first paragraph if you would want to read this for yourself, but I'm going to go through and just read some of the more highlighted parts that I have here. So the one thing that's really interesting is that they claim that millions of players, new and old, have returned to the game, which I could believe that. And then also, they think that we are eager to hear about what they're working on for gameplay and other topics, which we are. Today, we want to look back at the first week of this brand new chapter for Overwatch and share with you our team's current thinking on hero balance and gameplay. So, they start off strong with hero balance. So, every hero on the roster has a win rate between 45 and 55%, and we are not planning any immediate balance changes based on what we are seeing. Now, I want to stop here for a minute to talk about this, where win rate is not the same between all ranks. And what I've noticed from reading through this, and we'll see more of it as I go through this, is that it seems they're taking win rate as an average across all ranks, which I'm not going to be the arbiter of what way they should or shouldn't do it, but I have a feeling that a lot of these numbers are totally different if you just take gameplay from Masters and above. But then there's always a question of should they balance for Overwatch League or should they balance for, Silver through Platinum, which is where I think like 70% of the player base is. So it's an ongoing debate. But keep that in mind when looking at these win rate percents and these numbers, because they're looking at from Bronze all the way through Grand Masters. That's my assumption. And that's not necessarily the right way to look at it, because there's some things in Bronze that probably have like 70% win rate and then have like 40% win rate in GM, but I would assume. Anyway. They're looking, in the short term, the only exception is they're looking for a targeted adjustment to Zarya and Total Mayhem, but once we get closer to Season 2, it's going to be different. So, instead, our team is planning to make a series of balance changes for Season 2 that are in line with our design goal of ensuring the overall game feels balanced and fair while giving each session a more distinct identity. And I want to stop on this more distinct identity for a reason. So, right now, what that's, in my opinion, saying is which characters are going to be OP in each season. So right now, Sojourn, Sombra, and Genji at the high end are insanely overpowered. Just hard carry potential. It's broken. So the identity of Season 1 is going to be like, hey, you remember Season 1? That was the season where Genji was super OP, or that was the season where Sombra was just broken, basically. And I guess that is what they mean by more distinct identity. I don't know if that's actually what they think they mean, but that's effectively what that means based on what I'm reading. Anyway, we'll continue looking at hero performance and listening to player feedback prior to finalizing any specific changes to balance for Season 2. So they claim that they are listening to us in feedback. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so tanks. Since shifting to a 5v5 format, we see many players focusing more on the tank role given the heightened importance of a single tank in the role queue modes. One of the most talked about heroes on the roster right now is D.Va. They buffed her after the last beta for Defense Matrix and Micro Missiles, so now she can put up a better fight. Despite many players saying she's one of the best tanks in the game, Reinhardt, Sigma, and Zarya actually currently lead up the competition with an average 53% unmirrored win rate. And I want to stop here for a minute because I strongly doubt that this is accurate. Again, I want to point out, I'm assuming they're taking the average across all skill levels. And again, I'm not going to be the one to judge of should they balance around the high end or the low end, but I just want you, the viewer, to be aware that's what they're doing, because from my experience with Overwatch, D.Va is a very difficult character in 5v5 to get value with in lower ranks. At lower ranks, it's much harder to play D.Va really well. At higher ranks, though, with the higher level of coordination, D.Va is insanely good because she can dive with everybody and she can defense matrix, she can do a lot of stuff. She's got a lot of survivability, she's really strong. And also, you notice that the ones that win the most, Reinhardt, Sigma, and Zarya. Now, Zarya is strong even at the high ranks. Sigma's strong at the high ranks, but Reinhardt being in here when he's okay at the higher ranks, but he's not anywhere near as good as Sigma and Zarya, that's because Reinhardt at lower ranks gets a much higher baseline value since he doesn't have to, aim as much. So just keep that in mind. This is just, it's so different than what they're presenting to us. Just be aware. Zarya's new ability to choose where to place each of her 2 particle barriers often allows her to build up to high energy quickly, which is something we're currently keeping a close eye on for potential changes next season. And I kind of agree with this. I think Zarya is really strong right now, and getting a small nerf Wouldn't be the end of the world too, but we'll see, because it could be, you know, they're stronger here, but it depends on the rank too, you know, bronze versus GM versus gold, you know. Okay, so Junker Queen was a dominant force during the last beta playtest. Because of that, we applied changes to her commanding shout to reduce how dominant the Brawly Deathball team compositions were at the highest skill levels, which is interesting that they're making it sound like they are balancing around the highest skill levels when they say this. Which, if they are, then it's weird to me that they're balancing everything based off of the win rate across all ranks and not the highest. So there's like an inconsistency, which is very confusing to me. Anyway, so they're talking about, so they were dominant at the high levels, even including the Overwatch League Summer Showdown. We will keep an eye on her performance in the upcoming weeks to ensure she's an effective tank and fun to play. What they're effectively trying to say here is we may have over-nerfed her, so she's maybe a little weak right now, and we may make her stronger. The team is also monitoring Doomfist's performance and play rate compared to other tanks. As we look to Season 2, we think it makes sense to evaluate his overall tanking ability and potentially make improvements to Power Block and Meteor Strike. So they are deciding whether or not to buff Doomfist, which is, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel. He's kind of one of the weaker tanks, so it's kind of okay. But I feel like at lower ranks, he's actually just fine. But then this is one of those, are they balancing for the high end? Because they're balancing for the high end, he needs a buff. The balance for the low end, he's actually kind of fine right now, I feel like, but I don't know. I don't play a lot of lower ranked games, but anyway. So now they're talking about DPS. We've noticed some popular picks among our players. Genji and Sojourn, not surprising at all, started as the most popular heroes when Overwatch 2 launched, but they've since leveled out to the rest of the damage roster. Genji started off with a dominating win rate, and although it's lowered slightly since launch, currently at 52%, we want to make sure he's not dominating the playing field. We'll watch Genji carefully throughout the season to ensure he doesn't slice up the competition too much and may make adjustments in Season 2. One way we're considering doing this is through an adjustment to the damage roll passive, which has particularly benefited heroes like Genji. They're thinking of just reworking the whole damage roll passive, which if I remember right, wasn't you get a movement speed buff after killing someone, or am I misremembering that? Anyway, again with this, so I would assume what happened here is Genji and Sojourn are OP, so everyone's playing them on launch. But then, since launch, they've leveled out because they're looking at all ranks. And when you go across all ranks, people in lower ranks, like bronze through platinum, were like told they were told Genji and Sojourn are OP, so they tried playing them. But it turns out that player skill is more important than just having a strong character. So at lower ranks, people start realizing, okay, people are telling me Sojourn's OP, but I'm just not winning with it anyway. So I'm just going to go play what I already was comfortable with and just go back to, you know, Cassidy or Ashe or whatever they were already comfortable on. So it leveled out probably because of lower ranks. Because at higher rank games, you still see Genji and Sojourn almost every single game. Literally like 75% of my games at Grandmasters level games have at least one, if not two, of these characters every single game. Anyway. So I just want you to be aware of, again, the different things for different ranks and how this all plays into that. So, Sombra. All right, Sombra. We adjusted her damage potential to be optimal on targets that she hacks. However, we want to ensure her targets have a reasonable time to fight back. So we'll continue to look to balance her hack ability lockout duration when we approach Season 2. We've also heard feedback that tanks feel oppressed when a Sombra is focusing them with hacks, which will also be something we will look to control next season. Now, Sombra is an interesting one. I made a tier list, and I put her at low B, and I was wrong. The issue I had was because Sombra's strong, there were a lot of people who picked her up who weren't good at her, so I got a bad impression that she wasn't actually that good. But then, now that people are getting more used to her, she's pretty good. Like, she's like AS tier, you know, somewhere in there. And it really just revolves around her hack. If you don't know, her hack makes targets receive additional damage. And EMP just does a flat, like, 40% damage to everybody or something that it hits. So she definitely could see some nerfs, and that would not be a big deal. All right, Symmetra and Torbjorn. Now, this is where things get a little weird. Okay, this one just is weird to me. All right, so there are two other damage heroes that we are keeping a close eye on now. Over the course of the first week, their win rates have gradually been increasing, and they've shown the highest win rates now at some ranks. Both heroes can be effective counters to Genji, and may be enjoying their success due to his popularity. Hell no, I'll explain in a second. When we look at potentially making changes to them, we need to keep in mind the landscape of the rest of the hero roster. For example, if Genji is tweaked and possibly played less, these heroes might see less success and not need adjustment themselves. This whole paragraph is just insanity to me, okay? This is crazy talk, this paragraph. My best guess at this paragraph is they want us, the reader, to be like, look, see, these stats for these two characters that you think are bad are not bad. See, it's more complicated than you think. Cut us some slack. And I'm willing to cut them slack, but not over this. This is insane. Because the reality is, this is rank dependent. If you go into bronze, and not like the bronze placement bug where it threw people in bronze. I mean like true bronze, okay? Like bronze before the rank reset. Or even in silver, and in gold to some degree. Sym and Torbjorn are really insanely strong in those ranks with insanely high win rates because they have abilities that will automatically aim. So Torbjorn can throw down a turret, and at low ranks, people have less awareness. They just get farmed by the turret damage, not even knowing what's hitting them. Symmetra turrets, same thing. The reason these two do good in low ranks is turrets, not because of countering Genji. It is purely they farm people at low ranks, so across all ranks, their win rates are actually kind of high. I would bet you, if you saw the stats, their win rate is less than 50% at high end, and it's most likely higher than 55% at low end, maybe even higher than 60% just because of turrets. So it's just a weird thing. Like, I feel like this paragraph was very manipulative, which is really weird. Anyway. Kiriko. So Kiriko has a play rate of over 75% at first, initial play rate. This play rate has since balanced out compared to other support heroes. However, her win rate increased from 48 to 52% as players learned her kit and playstyle over the past week. Which I want to stop here for a minute. Oh my goodness, man. Her win rate at 52% across all ranks is nuts. Because I would assume that at the high rank, her win rate is going to be 60% or 62% or something like that. And then be like 51 or 52% at lower ranks where her, the ability to aim her kunais is a bigger issue. Her healing averages in the middle when you compare it to the rest of the support roster, and her damage output right now is about even with Ana, which is relatively low compared to heroes like Lucio, Moira, and Brigitte. Again, either they are manipulative or more likely whoever is like crafting these messages has no idea how the game actually works. This is completely just like, I don't have the word. There's an expression I can't think of right now, but this is totally like tone deaf, unaware of how the game works. So, if her damage output is even with Ana, that means she's farming people in games because her damage is such higher burst. If you have 10,000 damage in a match with Kiriko versus 10,000 damage in a match with Ana, there's a good chance that Kiriko solo killed like 30 people then, whereas Ana maybe contributed to like 15, 20 kills or something like that. And contributing to a kill is nice and all. Kiriko does that too. But Kiriko with the same damage is going to have kills where she just straight up two-taps someone all by herself and nobody even had to help her. She just like, bam, soldier's dead. Easy. Okay, moving on. Where Ana is not going to have that same potential on average. And also when compared to heroes like Lucio, Moira, and Brigitte, and again, Moira and Brigitte and stuff, they don't have the same burst potential. They farm damage with damage orb or whatever. And it's just not the same kind of damage. So not all damage is created equal. Keep that in mind when they say this. It's just totally like, I don't know, completely oblivious to the reality of how the game works. Anyway, Kiriko gets a lot of value in her evasiveness with wall climb and swift step to get out of harm's way, allowing her to stay alive longer in teamfights and making her the most survivable support hero on the roster currently, which I agree with. She is the most survivable, hardest to kill hero right now in the game because of teleport. Anyway, we're keeping an eye on how she performs in the weeks ahead of the Overwatch League playoffs next month. So they keep making it sound like they are balancing around the Overwatch League, which makes it even more scary and confusing that the things they say are based on all ranks numbers, and then says, like, if that is, it makes me want to believe the worst, which is what it seems like it is from previous Overwatch experience, which is the balanced team just has no idea what they're doing. They look at numbers across all ranks and then don't understand why it doesn't make sense. Like, it's just weird, but we'll see. Hopefully they get it right. I hope they get it right. I love this game, so I do hope they get it right. Anyway, so missions around the world. This is about maps in different seasons. We want each season in Overwatch 2 to feel refreshing and exciting for new and returning players. To support that goal and also to allow our team, when we think it's appropriate, to make adjustments to our maps, we've begun to run a map pool featuring all new locations and many original maps. For Season 1, we're playing on the following maps with quick and competitive play, and they have a list of all the maps that are in the map pool right now for quick and competitive, so unranked and competitive. And then, each subsequent season, we will rotate some maps out of the map pool and bring back others that had been previously out of rotation. As we continue to rotate maps in and out, we'll be looking at improving and tweaking them. So for example, when Rialto returns in Season 2, players will notice a few spots where we have added additional cover, which should help the map play better in the 5v5 environment with reduced shields. And this, for players who want to play maps not currently in the map rotation, hop into a custom game or the occasional arcade mode. So be aware, just because a map's not in the rotation doesn't mean you can't play it. You just have to go into the arcade or into a custom game in order to actually play on it. All right, so the rank thing. Here we go with the bronze bug. If you guys know about the bronze 5 bug, they've actually addressed it in the dev blog as well as the patch notes. Here we go. Our team would like to apologize. They actually are going to apologize to us for ranking many players too low during the first week of Overwatch 2. We discovered a bug, so they do classify it as a bug, okay, that was impacting player skill ratings, which is what contributed to many players being placed in Bronze 5 when they should have been placed higher. I told you guys, I literally made a video saying it's not your fault, guys. It's not you, it's Blizzard. And I don't know, some people weren't like, you know, whatever, but you guys get it. It's not your fault you placed Bronze 5. It actually was a bug. Our most recent patch included a fix that will help you get back to your true rank quickly, and that will be reflected the next time you receive a competitive ranking update. So win 7 games or lose 20. And again, someone has said this comment. You don't have to win 7 games in a row, guys. You have to win 7 total or 20 total. So you can win 2, lose 5, win 1, lose 2, win 3, whatever. And as soon as you get 7 wins or 20 losses, you get re-ranked. When that happens, you'll hopefully see a big change that will get you out of Bronze 5 for a lot of you, hopefully. You will receive a boost as you continue playing to help you get up to the correct ranks. Players who have not yet placed in competitive won't experience this issue at all after it goes live. So if you have not done comp yet, now's your chance to do it after this patch goes live, which isn't it already live or did it not go live? I thought it was already live, but I'm not sure now. Once it's live, then you'll be good and it'll just put you hopefully in like silver or wherever. Anyway, we're also watching, oh my god, I can't click this thing, there we go. We're also watching your feedback about how we present your skill tier and division and how you celebrate that in game. While we don't have any details we can share yet, expect us to make more improvements to competitive and we will continue to watch your feedback. Please God, let them put the rank back at the bottom left while I'm playing. I don't know about you guys, but if you've played Overwatch 1, you'll know what I'm talking about, where it used to be, if you say, you made it to Diamond finally, you're so proud you're Diamond, when you're in the next game and you see that Diamond rank above, like in front of your player, your hero portrait, it's such a good feeling. It feels so good. You feel so proud of yourself seeing that badge. And now the game's like, the badge is like hidden. It's like hard to even know what rank you are. And the icon itself is like so tiny you can't even see the number. So hopefully it needs some serious work. They had it good in Overwatch 1. And everything they thought was good in Overwatch 2 is bad. Hopefully they'll either revert or fix it. Anyway, and then the thank you. We will fix an issue. We'll fix an issue in a future patch. We'll fix an issue that could cause some rubber banding in game. Sorry. We also want to be certain that hit registration for shots fired is working pixel perfectly. Their investigative reports about it. They also want to talk about, just for a second, there are misconceptions about how controller settings on PC work. Aim smoothing under gamepad does not impact mouse input latency or precision. Also, a bug that affected the hitbox alignment of our rendered objects for Junker Queen in some specific situations. They discovered some bug like that. And then this was really interesting. You guys really want to see this, actually. So, we also understand that some PC players have concerns with input responsiveness and recommend trying out these changes to improve how quickly the game responds to player input. So here's what they recommend for increasing input responsiveness, aka decreased input lag. Make sure the in-game resolution setting matches your actual monitor set resolution. Set the capped frame rate to a value that matches your monitor's maximum frame rate. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, turn on NVIDIA Reflex Plus Boost. Otherwise, turn on reduced buffering for other GPUs. Finally, in your gameplay options, turn on enable high precision mouse input to speed up how frequently your mouse captures position in the game. Thank you to all the players who were a part of the first week of Overwatch 2. We will continue to listen to player feedback, and we look forward to sharing more in the coming weeks. So, that was the dev blog, guys. That's all they had to say. Bronze bugs, hopefully a thing of the past. They very, very concerning things that I read there about balance, and it seems like there's a good chance it's going to be Overwatch 1 all over again as far as totally disconnected balance changes that are not grounded in reality at all and just purely lost in statistics across all the different ranks. But we'll see. I'm hoping for the best because I like this game. Anyway, guys, that's it for this dev blog update. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you want to keep up with Overwatch stuff, feel free to subscribe. I'm posting Overwatch stuff a lot right now, and I'm hoping to make hero guides and other things. More hero guides. I've already made a bunch, but we'll make more stuff like that in the near term, and we'll see how things go in the long term. But that's all for this. Hopefully you found this helpful. Now you know what's going on October 13th, 2022 in Overwatch 2.